things that won't open. For a thief, he was too kind. He was better at making breathing sounds than at walking without making footsteps. There was a time when he laughed and said he was more confident in his arms that could lift a baby without waking it than in any safe. It was one night when I picked up a bony little key. After passing through the underground vault, it was covered in dust and had fallen into a gap on the shelf. It looked like just an old key. But when I casually touched the keyhole of a vending machine in the neighborhood on my way back, it clicked and the red light indicating cell suspension went out. The next morning, he tried it. An old padlock, the door of a rental apartment, or wire lock on an abandoned bicycle, just touching the keyhole made each lock open, as if to say, well done. He used it for work. The troubled landlord, an elderly person locked out, a cage that trapped a pet. He didn't target flashy cash transport vehicles. He opened the door, received the cash, and left immediately. He didn't know the name of the key. Later, he was told by someone from the Foundation's SCP-005, commonly known as the skeleton key. It opens any lock, but it tends to open the things that shouldn't be opened even more easily. He had a daughter. On the night of the fire, he was far away. His still small daughter couldn't reach the fountain at the entrance through the smoke. The firefighters said, "If only we had been faster." From then on, he began to think only about the height of the fountain. The world always leaves the things we need just a little too high up. A year after picking up the key, he was at the visiting hours of his daughter's hospital room. In the night, covering the visiting van light with his hand, he gently touched the key to the glass sliding door. The sound of it opening. The smell of disinfectant. The mechanical cries. His daughter was quietly building up her breath with her eyes still closed. He lowered the sack at her bedside and held her hand. Her body temperature was a little low, but it was definitely there. From the next day, he opened the lock of visiting hours every night to hold her hand without being found by the nurses. Before long, he began to pay attention to the tubes and numbers. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, blood pressure, sleep. He wished there were keyholders for these values too. One night, his daughter's breathing became irregular. The alarm rang and the nurse's footsteps quickened. In a panic, he accidentally pressed the key against the lid of the ventilator. It opened. The things that shouldn't be opened tend to open the most easily. The nurse shouted. He quickly closed the lid, but closing is harder than opening. People gathered and he was pushed out. In the hallway, he clenched his fists, gripping them until blood seeped from the joints of his fingers. The following week, a person from the Foundation came. A woman in a black suit said at the back entrance of the hospital, "We have a rough idea of how many doors you have opened. Return it." "Here, I'll return it," he offered the key. The woman shook her head. "If returning it would suffice, we wouldn't contain such things. The problem is you. Your sorrow is not a keyhole. That's why you find keyholders everywhere." He ran away. Even while escaping, doors opened on their own. Emergency exits from pursuers, subway connections, and closed walkways at night. The key helped him, and he clung to the key. In a certain warehouse, he stopped. The rusty shutter. Inside, there were cardboard boxes of his daughter that had been left behind during the move. He touched the padlock. The sound of it opening. He opened the box. Small sneakers, an origami crown, a crumpled drawing. He held them to his chest and sat down on the floor. The key felt light in his hand. Too light, yet heavy. Late at night, footsteps accumulated in the gap of the shutter. It must be the foundation, he thought. He stood up, put the box back, and lowered the shutter. As if locking it from the inside, he pressed the key against the iron of the shutter. He knew he shouldn't, but he did it anyway. He used the key to lock himself in. From beyond the door, he heard a woman's voice. "You are too good at this. That's why I make mistakes. Opening and keeping it closed are similar but different techniques. So, what should I do?" There is a method that a person with a key sometimes chooses. What is it? It's to leave the key behind. Silence sank into the warehouse. Dust danced, and the sound of tires on the distant highway trembled. He took the key out of his pocket and placed it in his palm. The key was warm from his body heat and said nothing. Someone is waiting outside the door. His daughter is sleeping in the hospital room. He is a father and a thief. In the center of the warehouse, he placed a pair of his daughter's sneakers. When lined up, they still had a short stride. Next to them, he placed the key. Rather than placing it, he laid it down, so that the keyhole wouldn't be visible with the teeth facing down. He raised both hands and lifted the shutter just a little. Cold air came in, and the dust trembled. The woman outside crouched down and made eye contact. "Let's get permission for the hospital room. The lock of visiting hours should be opened with authority." Does such a thing exist? The keyhole is not always physical. He nodded. It took him a little time to remember how to knock. When he left the warehouse, the night was just a night. He looked back one last time and saw the key he had placed on the floor. The key was there, reaching no door and opening none. Still, it felt like something had opened. Not a door, but something as small as a poorly written excuse on the back of a damage report. A few days later, he officially entered his daughter's hospital room under the Foundation's supervision. Daylight, the presence of a nurse, and a stamped permission paper. His daughter was still sleeping. He held her hand. Her fingers were small and her temperature was a little low. The nurse said, "Take your time." He nodded. There is no key. Instead, there was time. It would never open the way he wanted, but for now, that was fine. On his way home, he rummaged through his pockets. There was nothing inside. Might. He tried to smile. It was awkward, but he could smile. He would stop stealing things that wouldn't open. Saying it out loud made his chest hurt a little. It resembled the shape of a key, but it didn't look like a keyhole. Even without a key, there are certainly things that can be locked. And even with a key, there are certainly things that won't open.